So for doing the denial of service from the single machine, if we try to do the denial of service, that means when we try to down the server or down the service from some server, we try to out the server. It is not possible for us from the single machine. So what we do, we can do the distributed denial of service attack. In the distributed denial of service attack, what we do, we use multiple different machines, like different machines. That means it can be different machines from the different location, different country, and then we use those machines to attack on a single target, and that is called what? Distributed denial of service attack. Now for doing that, what we need is what? We need a different machines which is under our control. Now for doing that, what attackers do, they try to make botnets. They try to use botnets. Botnets, that means the machines which has been infected by the trojans, infected by the botnet trojans. And when those machines are infected by the botnet trojans, they report to the command and control center available on the attacker machine. And from the attacker machine, from the command and control center from the attacker machine, it gives the instruction to those botnets that you have to attack on this target. And those botnets act like a zombie because they don't know what they are doing, and they just do what the attacker has tell them to do. Now where we will get those botnets? It is not easy for making lots of machine as a botnet. So it works as a proper organizations. That means you can buy the botnets. You can buy the botnets from darknet. From the darknet you can buy the botnets. This is a proper organized cyber crime is happening there, where you can see this is like an organizational chart for the cyber crime, organized cyber crime, where there is a boss, criminal boss. Then after the criminal boss, we have a under boss, which is the Trojan provider and manager of Trojan command and control. So this is the guy who is providing the Trojan to the different users, and it is also the person who is managing the command and control for the Trojan. And then we have campaign managers there. These attacker crimeware toolkits owners Trojan distribution in legitimate websites. They do distribute these Trojans from the legitimate websites, these crime managers. Then after that you will see the affiliation network where the all Trojans are infected, or we can say the botnets, and whatever they steal, whatever the data they steal or information they steal, these information is also then resell by the stolen data resellers. So it is a proper organizational, we can say it is an organized crime, organized cyber crime. And what they use is the botnets. So botnet is what? Bots are software application that runs automated tasks over the internet and performs simple repetitive tasks such as web spidering and search engine indexing. A botnet is a huge network of the compromised system and can be used by any attacker to launch denial of service attack. So what happened here in the system? First, what attacker do? It sets a bot and command and control handler, and then it bought command and control center here, and that is what the manager which is managing the botnets. Then what it do here? It attacks the infected machines, that means the bots, and these bots looks for other vulnerable system and infects them to create botnets. So these machines, first attacker infect the one machine with the Trojan, botnet Trojan, then those machines will do infect the other machines also, and all those machines which is infected, they will report to command and control center and wait for the instruction. Now when the attacker sends the instruction from here to these botnet machines, they act like a zombie and they do what? They attack on the target server. A typical botnet setup, if you see the chart, this is the typical botnet setup. So in first, sets a command and control center and crimeware toolkit database, attacker here, like this is the Cramware Toolkit database where it has all the tools. Then Trojan Command and Control Center where it has the control center for managing those botnets and giving the instruction. Now from here, it do what? It affiliates the contribute malware. So it will send the affiliation network to distribute more malwares. Then these do what? It compromise the legitimate websites or create new malicious websites. And here it redirect the victims to malicious websites using the phishing, social engineering, etc. And then it will do what? It will redirect the users to victims to the fake site, creating the malicious websites or compromise legitimate websites like phishing or this, and then transfer the genuine user to malicious sites. Then users visit malicious compromised legitimate websites here, and then what happened? These sites do what? It malicious website redirects users to the Cramware Toolkit database where all the botnet trojans and all of those tools are installed there. And then these botnet toolkit database do what? It malware infects the user systems here, and then these user systems will become what? Botnet, and then bots will connect back to the command and control center. Then then the command and control center bot will receive the instruction from this command and control to attack some site, and then these all infected machine will start attacking it. So very simple, attacker do what? It creates fake websites and redirect users to go to those fake sites, and when they go to the fake sites, they will install with the malwares, botnet malwares, and they report to the command and control center, and from there the attacker will give the instruction to attack on some primary target. And we can say that this is the total ecosystem of botnets, where you have the database toolkit. We have a Cramware Toolkit database, then you have Trojan Command and Control Center, you have the database, and all these, if you see this is the control, this is the total ecosystem for the botnets. To create botnets, to create zombies, to infect and spread zombies, and to control those zombies and attack on different sites, on different servers. Now, scanning methods for finding vulnerable machines. So the machines which is vulnerable, if we want to find them, we can do the first random scanning. So the infected machine probes IP addresses randomly from target network IP range and checks for the vulnerability. That means in random scanning, the infected machines probes IP addresses randomly from target network IP range and checks for the vulnerability. Then hit list scanning. In this, attacker first collects list of possible potentially vulnerable machines and then performs scanning to find the vulnerable machines. Typical scanning, it uses the information obtained on infected machines to find new vulnerable machines. Local subnet scanning, the infected machine looks for the new vulnerable machines in its own local network. Permutation scanning, it uses pseudo-random permutation list of IP addresses to find new vulnerable machines. So when the machine infected, so it try to infect other machine by scanning this vulnerable other vulnerable machine using these different methods: random scanning, hit list scanning, typical scanning, local subnet scanning, or permutation scanning also. Now, how malicious code propagates? So attacker uses three techniques to propagate the malicious code to newly discovered vulnerable systems. First, central source propagation. In this, attacker places the attack toolkit on the central source and copy of the attack toolkit is transferred to the newly discovered vulnerable system. That means the central source will be there, and then it will copy the code to the new victim and then repeat to the next victim. So first it will exploit one victim. First actually it will place the malicious code into the centralized source, that is the server, and from there it will copy the codes, try to infect the one victim, and then what, it will try to infect the other victim from the central source. So copy malicious code will remain into the central location. So it is called, we can say it is central source propagation. Then back chaining propagation. In this, attacker places attack toolkit on his or her system itself, and copy of the attack toolkit is transferred to the newly discovered vulnerable system. So the toolkit or virus toolkit will remain in the attacker machine, and then when some machine found, so it will copy the toolkit to that machine, and then it will remain there, and then when it finds the next victim, then it will copy from the attacker machine to that new victim machine. So back chaining propagation. Then attack toolkit, this one autonomous propagation. In this, attack toolkit is transferred at the time when the new vulnerable system is discovered. So first attacker find the new system, and it will send the exploitation kit, that means the virus trojan kit, to this victim. Then the next victim find, then from this victim it will send the code to the next victim. So it is actually how it will spread the malicious code to different machines. Now these are the botnet trojans. These are the softwares or botnet trojan softwares. That is like a Black Shades Net. This has the ability to create, implement binaries which employ custom obfuscation algorithm or cryptors, which can be bought through the bot cryptor marketplace embedded in the Black Shades controller. So you will create one exe with this, then you will in fact send that exe to the target machine and try to infect the target machine, and it will become botnet. When it is infected, it will become botnet, and it will report to this command and control center of Black Shades Net. Then you have other tools like Kaitosia botnet, Andromeda bot. Now DDoS attack case study. Case study, that means these are some cases which has happened, and what happened there is that attacker have attacked on this PayPal and MasterCard servers. So there is a case when the attacker attacked on these PayPal and MasterCard servers. Now this is hacktivism actually. This is the hacktivism type of attack. That means they are not wanted to loot something, or they don't wanted to steal something from there. They just wanted to teach a lesson to them. This is like a hacktivism. That means they are not happy with these policies of these PayPal or MasterCard, so they want to get down these servers. So what they do actually, these hacker releases the high orbit ion cannon DDoS attack tool on the web server. It is a tool which can be used to do the DDoS attack, high orbit ion cannon, and it is a very simple tool that anyone can run it. And they do what they release this tool on the web servers, and web servers hosting, they host the server, this tool on the server, and release the server on the tool on the server. And then what they do, hackers advertise these tools, DDoS attack tool, on Twitter, Facebook and Google, etc. So they actually set the campaign on these Google, Twitter and Facebook, saying that we have to take down these servers because of this thing. We are not happy with these policies of these companies or something. And they do what, they tell the users, voluntarily they tell the different users to join the attack. That means they give the tool, they give the link of this tool to every user, and they say that at this time, at this date, we are going to attack on them, sir, and we are urging you to join this attack voluntarily. So different users from the different locations, they joined this attack voluntarily, and they did what, they at the same time, which is defined by these attackers, anonymous attackers, they did what, they used this tool. By using the tool, they have started attacking on this PayPal and MasterCard server. And volunteers do what, connect the IRC channel and wait for the instruction from the attacker, and they do what, start attacking on these servers. hacker advertise the links to download the botnets also on these different Twitter, Facebook, Google. They have advertised it so that anyone can download it easily. Then these are the DOS and DDoS attack tools which we can use to do the DDoS attacks or DOS attack. First is like Pandora DDoS bot toolkit. This Pandora DDoS bot toolkit is an update variant of Dirt Jumper DDoS toolkit. Previously it was known as a Dirt, and it offers 5 distributed denial of service attack modes. It generates 5 type of attack, which is HTTP min, HTTP download, HTTP combo, socket connect, and max flood. So it provides these different kind of attack which we can do by using this tool. We just select the target and select the type of attack we want, and then start sending. This will start sending the request and start flooding the server with that request. Like download request, combo request, like it will do join, download, upload, and connect, post all the request, socket connect request, or flooding the site. Then we have derail and high orbit ion cannon. Derail is a professional DDoS tool with random pattern for attack via TCP, UDP, and HTTP protocol. Then we have high orbit ion cannon. That is what makes a DDoS attack to any IP address with a user selected port and a user selected protocol. So this is the tool which has been advertised by those anonymous attackers to get down the PayPal or the MasterCard servers. Then we have DOS, HTTP, and Bangladesh tool. This DOS HTTP is HTTP flood denial of service testing tool for Windows. It includes URL verification, HTTP redirection, port designation, performance monitoring, and enhanced reporting. It uses multiple asynchronous sockets to perform an effective HTTP flood. Then we have other Bangladesh. It do also the same thing. So we have these more tools we have for doing DOS or DDoS attacks. Okay, then we have these DOS and DDoS attack tool for mobiles also. So we can use mobile to do the DDoS and DOS attack also. It is like it is an undOS ID allows attacker. This is undOS ID. It allows attacker to simulate the DOS attack, HTTP post flood attack to be exact, and DDoS attack on a web server from mobile phones. So we can do HTTP attack, HTTP flood attack by using this tool from the mobile, Android mobile, to on any web server also. Then we have these low orbit ion cannon also. Like for the desktop we have high orbit ion cannon. For mobile devices we have low orbit ion cannon. This is Android version of this low orbit ion cannon software, and it is used for flooding packets, which allows attacker to perform DDoS attack on target organization. Now, detection technique. Before this, let me show you some of the way we can do the DDoS attack and how it floods the network. So in our Kali events, we have multiple tools to do the DDoS attack or DOS attack, denial of service or distributed denial of service attack. Let's say I will go for, we have MSF console, we have Metasploit attacks also, we have the Metasploit tool modules also available for DOS attack, so we can use that also. First let me check whether I am connected to this machine or not. Sorry, this is the machine. Okay, it is connected. I want to do the DOS attack. So first we should scan which port we want to do the attack. So I am trying to check the port number 21 is enabled on that machine or not by using the Nmap. This port number 21 is open. Now what? I will try to attack on this port. I will try to do the DOS attack. Now it is not possible to down the machine or make the machine denial of service from the single server, from the single source or from the single attack. We need to have more than this, because we need more bandwidth than the target, so that we can flood the target machine with the different requests. Let's try this. I will try it from MSF console first. Okay, I should have started with the sudo permission. Otherwise it will give me some, because I've logged in as a normal user. So if you start with this, so it will start as a normal user. So sometime it will not allow you to run some of the tools. Now it is running as a root privilege. Okay, now the Metasploit is loaded. So I'm going to use auxiliary DOS attack. Now DOS attack module, we have different modules here. We have different payloads, different exploits here, and we have these 2131 exploits, 1139 auxiliary exploits we have. So I'm using one of them, auxiliary exploit, for DOS, denial of service attack. If I press 2 tabs, so it shows that I have 112 possibilities. That means I have 112 DOS attack modules. If you press yes, you can see those all. These are all different kind of DOS attack modules we have for different services. So what I will use for the TCP flood, TCP sync flood. That means I'm going to flood the machine with the sync request. I'm trying to do the sync flood attack. Enter. Now I am using this auxiliary exploit. Now first I will check what are the options to use this exploit. Show option. So it is showing that we need to fulfill these requirements, like remote host, remote port. By default it is trying to do the attack on port number 80. We can do attack on different ports, and also we can spoof the address of source. That means we can use different source addresses also. So we can use the spoof address also. So what I will do here, I will use I will set first these things. So I will set first our host. Our host, that means the host which we want to do the attack. So I want to do the attack on this machine. This is Windows 10 machine. Then I will set the remote port. That means the port which I want to attack. So I am going to attack on port number 21. Now if you want to spoof the source address, that means you don't want to detect, you don't want to reveal yourself. So we can use the source, fake source address. So I will use S, that means source host, and I'm going to use other machine's IP as a source address, that is Windows Server machine. There is a Windows Server 2016, so I'm going to use that machine's IP here. Now after filling all the requirements, we can check show options, and now we can see we have full these environments, these things. And now what we can do, we can start attack. So for starting the attack, we will run command exploit. And now our machine is trying to send the sync flooding request. It is trying to flood the other machine with the sync request on port number 21. Now let's see what is happening on Windows 10 machine. Now this is my Windows 10 machine and it has been attacked. Now we can see that I will try to use Wireshark Sniffer, and if you feel that this machine is getting slow now, and if the attacks goes on, then this machine will get slow, and finally it will get hang. It is still working. I will start this Wireshark to check what packets it is receiving here. So you can see here it is receiving the packet, it is receiving the sync request here, and from this host 192.168.0.150 for this machine's IP address, and it is sync request, and it is sending the sync request, and it is not getting any reply. It is sending sync reply, and then from that other machine it is getting reset. So it is just sending this, and now it is start to see the effect, but still it is not easy to do the denial service from the single, because both machines are both machines are in the same network and their bandwidths are same. Let me check the task manager. So in the task manager we can see the performance. And here we can see the Ethernet performance for this Ethernet network is going full. It is getting the full use, but CPU is still able to handle this, memories is still able to handle this attack, because both machines are same, identical. So after that MSF Metasploit attack, we can do the we can use other tool, which is hping. We can use hping also to flood with the different requests. So from our Kali Linux we also have hping command, hping 3. If you see the help, so it has lots of different options. That means if you want to send the sync flag, then you can use -S, and if you want to spoof the source address, we can do that by using -A option. And if you want to do the flooding, that means you just don't want to see only the one sync, you want to flood the destination machine with the sync request, so we can use this flood option, -flood. So we want to do this, then we will do this by using sudo hping 3 -S. Now it is going to do what? It is going to send the sync request. First I will spoof the source address. Okay, I will send the sync request, then I am going to use the spoof address. So I am going to spoof the address of server, and I am going to do this attack on this machine, and I want to do flooding. So I will use flood command, and when I run this, it will also do the attack on the destination machine. So this is the target machine. I will start the recording here on Wireshark, so I can see the request is coming here. So you can see these requests are coming. For stopping the attack, I will press Ctrl C. Okay, if I have not pressed this, then what happened? Slowly the server, our target machine will start get slow and hanged. So we can see here that these requests have been come, and because I have not decided the port number, so it is sending the request for port number 0. If you see, it is sending only sync request, and you can see thousands of sync requests have come, and it is only for the port number 0, because I have not decided the port number. So you can, if you have some port open, then you can say on that port. Right now, if the port is open, then you should send the request on that port. I have sent it on port number 0, so it is not having any effect. But if I have sent it on port number 21, which is open, then it may have put lots of effect on this server, like the previous attack. Now, if you want to set a specific port which HP, so you will add with the -P option. So if we want to do the attack on a particular port, then with this all option we can add the port number also, -P, and then the port number which you want to attack, which you want to flood with the sync request. And then this will do what? It will flood the destination machine with the spoof IP address, and on this port number 21 it will start sending the sync request, only sync request. Now countermeasures. Now before countermeasures, why we do the denial of service attack? This is the important thing, that why we do this, why we use this denial of service attack. So basically attackers use this denial of service attack for two reasons. First, if they want to harm these target organizations for harmful things, like they want to harm they want to disturb their business, they want to destroy those destination or target organization. This is just for destroying harmful things or doing the harmful for the other organization. Also, it can be done also done for the hacktivism. Hacktivism is like doing for the political agenda. Like if you want to teach somebody a lesson, a political lesson, or you want to convince your thoughts to someone, so what you can do this, they can do this denial of service attack on them. And also this denial of service attack is used by the attacker to do the redirection. Redirection, that means, remember, if suppose the attacker wants to do the DHCP starvation attack, DHCP spoofing attack. So for DHCP spoofing attack, what attacker have to do first is the DHCP starvation attack. Starvation attack to make that our original DHCP server, the genuine DHCP server, out of service. That means it is actually what? Denial of service attack. That DHCP starvation attack is basically denial of service attack, that stopping the DHCP server to provide the DHCP services. Why it is doing that? So that the users or victims will redirect to the fake DHCP server. So attacker use this denial of service attack to redirect the genuine users to the fake servers, so that the original server will not respond, the fake servers will respond. So they do this to harm somebody, or they do this for the redirection. So that is the two basic reason for doing this denial of service attack. Now, what is the countermeasures? First, detection techniques. Detection techniques are based on identifying and discriminating the illegitimate traffic increase and false and flash event from legitimate packet traffic. So in the detection technique, that means we have to identify and discriminate the legitimate traffic and the traffic which is suddenly getting increased, flash events. So we can use these three techniques: activity profiling, change point detection, and wavelet based signal analysis. All detection techniques define in an attack as an abnormal and noticeable deviation from a threshold of a normal network traffic statistics. So basically what detection technique depends on the way that the fact that normal traffic will remain normal, but suddenly if you see the increase in the traffic, that means what? Or abnormal behavior in the network traffic, that means what? A deviation. It can be a denial of service attack. First, activity profiling. An attack is detected by an increase in activity levels among the network flow clusters, an increase in the overall network number of distinct clusters, DDoS attack. So it is like DDoS attack we can detect by the attack. It is coming from different clusters of network or distinct clusters, that means from different sources. Activity profiling is done based on the average packet rate for a network flow, which consists of consecutive packets with the similar packet fields. And activity profiling is obtained by the monitoring the network packets header informations. So it is average packet rate, like a server is handling or getting these average number of packets per day or per minute or per day per hour. Now suddenly it is getting increased, so you can get this by monitoring the network and checking the header of the packets which is coming. It is what activity profiling. Wavelet based signal analysis means describe an input signal in terms of spectral components. So wavelet provides 4 concurrent time and frequency descriptions. So analyzing each spectral window's energy determines the presence of anomalies, and signal analysis determines the time at which certain frequency components are present. That means within the time or within the signal analysis, we can analyze the signal and see when it was get increased and in which time, certain time it gets increased. Then sequential change point detection. It is what first isolate the traffic, filter the traffic, identify the attack, and identify scan activities. So first isolate the traffic, that means change point detection algorithm isolate change in network traffic statistic caused by attack. So whenever you have an attack, you will see that attack the change in the network traffic statistic. Just like we have seen in the Wireshark, when we start the Wireshark, we saw that there are different packets have start coming suddenly, and within the small time lots of sync requests have come. So filter the traffic. Algorithm filter the traffic data by address, port and protocol, and store the resultant flow as a time series. So filter do what? We can set the filtered traffic to isolate those traffic based on the address and port of the protocol and store them into resultant flow as a time series. Then identify the attack. So after doing this, we can go for sequential change point detection technique that uses the custom algorithm to identify and locate the DOS attack. The algorithm calculates deviation in the actual versus expected local average in the traffic time use series. So within the particular time series, if the traffic is not normal, it is getting very much increased, or abnormally coming very hard, that means it can be the attack. So identify scan activities, that is this technique can also be used to identify the typical scanning activities of the network worms also. Worms can also do the same thing. DOS and DDoS attack countermeasure strategies. So strategies are what? Like when suppose the attack has happened, now what to do? So observing the attack. First observing the attack, that use additional capacity to observe the attack. It requires pre-planning, it requires additional resources. That means you will make your server as much as powerful as possible, that can handle a lots of attack. So it can absorb lots of attack or lots of traffic, and it needs pre-planning, and also it needs additional resources. Then degrading services. Identify the critical services and stop non-critical services. Now because we are planning our server to absorb lots of attack, then we will plan our server to not waste the resources on the services which we don't require. So we should stop those services to make all resources available for that particular service which we want to serve, we want server to serve. Then shutting down the services. Now shut down all the services until the attack has subsided. That means when the attack has been done, so we try to do what? We try to disable the services which we don't want. Only we try to remain the services running which is critical. Now finally, if it is not working, then finally what we do? We'll do the shutdown. All the services shut down and reboot the system. Now DOS attack countermeasures. So this is the step. We can go stepwise. Protect the secondary victim, neutralize the handler, prevent potential attack, deflect attack, mitigate attack, or post-attack forensic. Now first, when we say protect the secondary victim is the users who become botnet. So we should protect our users to become botnet. Suppose is in our organization we have hundred of machines, so we don't want them to become a botnet. So we should protect them. So we should install antivirus, anti-trojan software and keep these up to date so that our organization's machines will not become botnet and attack someone else. Increase awareness of security issues and prevention techniques in all internet users so that they will follow the security procedures. They should not do the malicious things and don't become the botnet. Disable unnecessary service, uninstall unused application and scan all the files received from external sources. It is to save our system from trojans and viruses. Properly configure and regular update the built-in defense mechanism in the core hardware and software of the system so that our system or these systems will not become botnet. Then detect and neutralize the handler. Now remember, botnet can be many, but the handler can be only one. So for neutralizing the botnets is difficult, but we can neutralize the single command and control center and the handler. So network traffic analysis, we can get this, that who is the handler, we can get it from analyzing the network traffic. Analyze the communication protocol and traffic pattern between handlers and clients or handlers and agents in order to identify the network nodes that might be infected by the handlers. Then utilize the botnet handlers. There are usually few DDoS handlers deployed as compared to the number of agents. So neutralizing the few handlers can possibly render multiple agents useless, thus thwarting DDoS attack. Spoofed source addresses. This is the decent probability that the spoofed source addresses of DDoS attack packet will not represent a valid source address of the definite subnetwork. That means the attack is coming from somewhere, but it is not having that that source address. It is having some other source addresses. That means spoof addresses. Then detect potential attack. Detect potential attack by using the egress filtering and ingress filtering. Egress filtering, that means scanning the packet headers of the packet leaving a network. So we have to configure our firewall or IDS to filter the packets which is going out of our system. Egress filtering ensure that unauthorized or malicious traffic never leaves the internal network. That means nobody will use our network to attack somebody else. Then ingress filters protect from flooding attacks which originate from the valid prefix IP addresses. It enables the originator to be traced to its true source. So we should configure our firewall to protect the flooding attack which originate from the valid prefixes like IP addresses. Then configure the TCP config. This is TCP intercept. So on the firewall we can configure the TCP intercept. It prevents the DOS attack by intercepting and validating the traffic connection request. So whatever the request like sync is coming or sync ACK is going, so it will validate all the requests, all the three-way handshake and all the TCP connection requests by using on the firewall. On the firewall it will validate all these requests. So it can detect when we enable the TCP intercept on firewall, it will prevent these DOS attack. Then we can do deflect the attack also. Deflect the attack, that means we can set the honeypots. That system that are set up with limited security, also known as honeypots, act as an enticement for an attacker. And honeypot serves as a means of gaining information about attackers' attack techniques and tools by sorting and record of a system activities. So use defense in depth approach with IP security at different network point to divert suspicious DOS traffic to several honeypots. Basically we configure one server with the honeypot services. Honeypot services, we have different servers with different applications like KF sensor. It acts as a honeypot and it do what? It enables different protocols, different services in the machine. There is no services available on that system. It is like fake services. It runs fake services. And it looks like vulnerable. It looks like vulnerable. Services are vulnerable. These protocols are open. These ports are open. So when attacker scans the system, suppose there are two machines, and when the attacker scans two machines, so it will see one machine is secure and one machine is not that secure. It is having lots of protocol and port number open. Ports are open, and that is what honeypot. It is trying to fool the user attacker to attack on that system. Now when attacker attack on that honeypot system, what it do, it logs all the information of the attacker, and it logs that what are the techniques attacker is using and what are the tools attacker is using. So next time when the attacker try to do anything else on other servers, we will be ready for that attack, and we can identify the attacker, we can identify and we can analyze the attacker. Then mitigate the attack by using the load balancing or throttling. Load balancing, that means increase the bandwidth on critical connections to absorb the additional traffic generated by an attacker. So try to make the network to absorb more bandwidth than what is normally required. Then replicate the servers to provide additional fail-safe protection. So by using the load balancing cluster or failover cluster, so that one server fails, we can get the request from the other server. We can go load balance, we can go the balance load on each servers in a multiple server architecture to mitigate the DDoS attack. We can configure the cluster servers, load balancing clusters to balance the load and can handle the lots of load. Then also we can do the throttling. Throttling, that means we set the routers to access a server with a logic to throttle incoming traffic levels that are safe for the server. That means the server which is important for us and that server we don't want to get down, but the traffic is coming from our routers and switches. So we can configure our routers which is connected to that server. We can configure the router to give only the bandwidth or traffic which is our server can handle. So router will do what? It will stop all the all the extra traffics only on that router. It will not forward the traffic to that server. So throttling helps in preventing damage to the server by controlling the DOS traffic, and can be extended to throttle DDoS attack traffic and allow legitimate user traffic for better result. And if we are having a proper firewall or better firewall, then which it can detect the unwanted traffic and side that unwanted traffic, drops all the unwanted packets and only allow the legitimate users to go through that firewall. Post-attack forensic, that means attack has done and now we have to find out that who did this and how it has been done and how we can protect ourselves from future. So this is what first DOS attack traffic patterns can help the network administrator to develop new filtering techniques for preventing the attack traffic from entering or leaving the network. Then analyze the router firewalls and IDS logs to identify the source of the DOS traffic. Try to trace back attacker IPs with the help of intermediary ISPs and law enforcement agencies. So we can take the help of ISPs and law enforcement agencies, that who was the attacker, try to find out his IP and location. Then traffic pattern analysis. With this data can be analyzed and post-attack to look for specific characteristic within the traffic attacking traffic. And then using the characteristic, the result of traffic pattern analysis can be used for updating load balancing and throttling countermeasures. So for doing the post-attack forensic, we can see what we can do in future and how to mitigate the attack, how to do the load balancing and throttling configuration, and even we can try to find out who is the attacker. Techniques to defend against botnets. Now for defending against botnets, we have different techniques. Like this is the set of RFC standard filtering. It is defined by the RFC for the ISPs. So it is defined by the ISP that it says any traffic coming from unused or reserved IP addresses is bogus and should be filtered at the ISP before it enters the internet link. So ISPs have to follow this procedure, this request for command to filter these unwanted traffics. Then we have Cisco IPS source IP reputation filtering. This will do what? It will help to determine if an IP or service is a source of threat or not. Cisco IPS regularly updates its database with known threats such as botnets, harvester, malware, etc. and helps in filtering DOS attack traffic. So this Cisco IPS device is actually for this, preventing this DOS attack. It can prevent by updating the database of those known botnets. Like suppose somebody has found out that these are the botnets and these are attacking. So those IP addresses are updated in the database of the Cisco IPS. Now it will keep monitoring that and it will keep updating like antivirus, so that which IP addresses are botnet and which IP addresses are not botnet, so that whenever the traffic comes from those IP addresses, it will start stopping those IP addresses. Then there is black hole filtering. This black hole filtering refers to network nodes where incoming traffic is discarded or dropped without informing the source that the data did not reach its intended recipient. Black hole filtering refers to discarding packets at the routing level. So it is like discarding the unwanted traffic packets on the routing level, and the source, the server, will never see the traffic. And also the attacker who is sending the traffic, he will not get any reply. That means the packet not reach or timeout, no reply. It will not get any reply. DDoS prevention offering from ISP and DDoS services. So there are some DDoS services, the prevention services, they provide the services, and ISPs also provide the services. Now these services are what? It is similar to in Cisco. It is similar, enable IP source guard in Cisco, or similar features in other routers, filter traffic based on the DHCP snooping binding database, or IP source binding, which prevent a bot to send spoof packets. Spoof packets, that means the source address will be spoofed, and if it tries to send the packet through our network, through the router, so router will see that okay, this traffic is coming from our network, but in our network this IP address is not there, so it will not forward that traffic to anywhere. Suppose our network is about 10, our network is network 10.0.0.0, and the traffic is going out from our network, and the traffic source address is not 10 network, it is actually going from 20.0.0.0. That means different network IP. That means somebody is spoofing the address to send the traffic outside. Maybe our machine have become botnet. So this is to prevent that by guarding the source IP addresses. These are the technique to defend the botnets. Then there are some countermeasures also to use a strong encryption, such as this WPA2, AES 52, etc. to broadband network with wide stand against eavesdropping. Ensure that the software and protocol are up to date and scan the machines thoroughly to detect any anonymous behavior. Disable unused and unsecure services. Block all inbound packets originating from the service port to block the traffic from reflection server. Then update kernel to latest release, prevent the transmission of the fraudulent address packet at the ISP level. Implement cognitive radius in the physical layer to handle the jamming and scrambling attack. So make our machine harder or powerful, so to observe the attack. Then filter all the traffic which is originating from the fake source addresses. Then configure the firewall. How we can do that? By configuring the firewall to deny the external ICMP traffic access, secure the remote administrator, and connectivity testing by using the encryption. Data protection by the attacker should be stopped from being executed. Perform the throughput validation, that how much throughput our data can send or receive. Prevent use of unnecessary functions such as gets and star copy. Then prevent the return addresses from being overwritten. And we can do this attack prevention on ISP level also. As I said, it is very simple. Like ISPs, we can get the services from the ISP that it will stop botnets from checking it from the source. Like if suppose the source address is different and the packet is going from that source address and having the different source address, spoof source address, so ISP can detect and it can block it, so that other users will not be affected. So most ISPs simply blocks all the requests during the DDoS attack, deny even the legitimate traffic from accessing the service. Now ISPs offer in the cloud DDoS protection for internet links, so that they do not become saturated by the attack. So ISP provide the services. Attack traffic is redirected to the ISP during the attack to be filtered and sent back. So if suppose the attack happens, so we can forward the attack to the ISP and it can filter and get back to the normal request. Administrator can request ISPs to block the original affected IP and move their site to another IP after performing DNS propagation. So if this our site is on this IP and it has been attacked, so we can move our server, our IP to our server to different IP also, and changing it into the DNS also, so that normal users can get, but the attacker cannot, botnets cannot get it. And we can configure our Cisco ICP, Cisco software, Cisco routers or Cisco firewall with these different commands to protect. We can configure we can enable the TCP intercept, and this is use a command in the global configuration. First we will create the list, access list, define an IP extended access list, and then in that we define the source and destination IP which is we allowed, and then TCP intercept list. This command will do what? Enable the intercept, and then the access list name. Then TCP intercept can operate in either active intercept mode or passive watch mode. The default is intercept mode. Intercept mode, it will do actively block. In watch mode it will only log. The command to set the intercept mode in global configuration is IP TCP intercept mode, and you can change intercept or watch. Intercept means it will block, but watch it will only log. Then we have some hardware protocol analyzer also. These DDoS protection applications we have. These are advanced DDoS protection applications. These are hardware devices we can use. They can detect and we can reflect the attack. Like this Cisco Guard, we have Abroad Prevail Availability Protection System, DDoS Protector, 40 DDoS, and also we have software tool. Software FortGuard Anti-DDoS Firewall. This is just a firewall, but it can also detect the DDoS attack. This is a firewall provide a functionality superior approach to mitigating DDoS attack with the design that forces an all passing legitimate traffic rather than discarding attack traffic. These features, it has a features like protecting against sync, TCP flooding and other type of DDoS attack. Attack packets filtering, UDP, ICMP and IGMP packets are rate management. Then protection against ARP spoofing also. ARP spoofing, where it is used to do the man in the middle attack. Then we have some more tools available to do the DDoS, to do the prevention. So these are more tools for doing the protection of DDoS. Now for doing the penetration testing. Penetration testing is like, do attack should be we have to check in the penetration testing that the attack should be incorporated into pen testing plans to find out if the network server is susceptible to the DOS attack. DOS pen testing determines minimum threshold for DOS attack on a system, but the tester cannot ensure that the system is resistant to DOS attack. So we just get to the minimum threshold, but we cannot show that this is resistant of we cannot say that this is the resistant for the attack, because there are some limitations. The pen tester floods the target network with traffic similar to the hundreds of people repeatedly requesting the service in order to check the system stability. Pen testing results will help the administrator to determine and adopt suitable network parameter security controls such as load balancer, IDS, IPS and firewall and etc. So by doing the penetration testing, we can get the idea of how much load balancer we should need, how much IDS, IPS and firewalls configuration we need. And the method for doing the penetration testing: test for heavy load on the server, then check for the DOS vulnerable system, then run sync attack on the server, then run port flooding attack on the server, then run email bomber on the email server, then flood the website from the guest book with the bogus entries, and then whatever you find, document all the findings. So this is what the DOS attack, denial of service attack we have. And why we do this attack, why attacker do this attack? Very simple, it just want to do harm the system, harm the organization, or maybe suppose if you harm one organization, it is the benefit of the other organization. rivalry. So it can be done by the rivalry also. And one more thing, it is done only for the redirection also. For redirection the traffic from the original server to the fake server.